Hi, this is Trevor Conquergood. Welcome to this week's RNK Software Club's video for the week. The topic for this week is about stipple fill, and we'll learn also how to stipple around an embroidery design. And so if you're ready to get started, let's pop onto the Floriani workspace. And you'll notice down at the bottom of my workspace, this is where all the convert to styles of embroidery are. And Stipple Fill is this one over here on the right hand side. And it says auto stipple, but the tool's currently kind of dimly lit. And that means that we need to do something first before we can use this tool. And in this case, we need to select a piece of artwork. You could go to your custom shape library and browse through and select, for example, this little bear artwork. And now notice that all the tools at the bottom are brightly colored. And if I click on the first one, we'll get a run stitch outline for the bear. And if we come over to the right and click on auto stipple, then the program will fill the bear in with stipple fill. And once you've filled in your shape with stipple, the property box tells you that it's a stipple fill and gives you the settings for the stipple. You can control the density, so that will be how close together are the rows. You can control the stitch length, how far from one needle penetration to the next needle penetration. And there's a random factor that kind of makes it look more or less organized. So if I turn it all the way down to 0, then it will be very organized looking. And if I turn that all the way up to, for example, 90, then it gives more of a randomization to the pattern and the path that it takes. So these are all the settings that you can take control of. Now, I think normally people don't want to stipple fill the bear as much as they might want to stipple around it. You might have an embroidery design of a bear. It could be, just a filled in embroidery bear, or it could be, for example, an applique. It won't matter, whatever kind of embroidery design that you have, if you want to stipple around it, you actually need two things. First of all, you need the shape that you want to fill in, and second of all, you need a shape that goes around the bear. The shape that goes around the bear is easy to make because there's an outline tool, so you can select your embroidery design and then click on the outline tool up here, create outlines. If it was a purchased design, you probably needed to open it with the option for convert to outlines. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, maybe refer to a previous video on that topic, convert to outlines. But the point is, it needs to have an embroidery design that's been converted into artwork that you can hit create outlines. And it's you can make one outline around your embroidery design. The further or the bigger the number you make, the further around your embroidery design that the artwork will get created. So for example, if I type in 0.2 of an inch and click OK, it will put an outline around the bear at 0.2 of an inch. So that can be the inner edge of our stippling. Now, if you wanted to make a quilt block, you could use the rectangle tool and draw a block. It could be any shape because it's very easy to select it, and then use the properties box on the transformation tab where you can choose any size. Now notice that I have unchecked maintain aspect ratio, and because of that I can type in 8 by 8 and click apply, and it'll make exactly an 8-inch square. Now you can try and put your square over top of your bear, but if you can't get them perfectly centered, maybe you don't want them centered, and then that's fine. But if you want these things to be centered, easily by the program, then click and drag a box to select both the bear and the outer square. And up at the top here, this is your alignment tool. So when you click on alignment tool, it will fly open with options, and I'll use the option on the right called center selected objects. And it puts the bear and its outline perfectly in the middle of that box. Now, one last thing that we need to do, because right now what we really have is 3 separate things. We have an applique embroidery design, we have an outline of our bear, and we have a box. And what I need to do is actually combine the bear outline and the box. So I'm going to click to select both of those things. And the tool to combine is up here. It's a paperclip. When I click on the paper clip, it unites those two things. And so now what we have is a box with the shape of the bear is kind of like a void, like a hole of it. If I just click on fill and click apply, you'll see it as an artwork shape with an outside and an inside boundary. And this is what we need to stipple around the bear. You need a shape that defines the shape of the block and around your embroidery design. And so it's easy to do if you use the Create Outlines tool and then you combine your two shapes together. Because now I can simply click on the Stipple Fill. If I right click on the Stipple Fill, I can choose from my preset options. And notice that I have options for 6 and 7 and 8. So what that is I changed the density setting so that it would be more open, and it instantly goes to kind of the spacing that I want, rather than starting at the default, which is the 2.5, and then waiting for it to do its work and then asking it to do it again. And so, because as you can see, it does take time for the software to auto stipple around your bear because of the math that's involved and into doing that. And so what I'm saying here is you can make your own presets. The program just comes with the default, but if you come in and you set it here, I'll change the number to 9 and click apply. So now I've made the stipple with a setting of 9 apart. Well, if I come down to the tool and I right click, I can choose to save this as a preset setting, and I'll call it the number 9. You can give it any name you want. Could be names or numbers. But once it's saved, then what that means is whenever you select a shape, you can right click over top of a tool to see the preset options. Now, if I just left click, I get the default settings. So if I left click, I'll get the 2.5 millimeter spacing with the 3 millimeters and the 70. But you can control any of these 3 settings and then make it a preset, which makes it a little bit easier to use. And so one way or another, whether you like to have kind of the really small and micro stippling like the 2.5, or if you'd rather have it at numbers like 7 or 8 or 9, you can make your presets. And so we hope you enjoyed this week's RNK Software Club's video for the week. Until next week, have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and bye for now.